This isn't our story, but it happened to our aunt. Our Aunt Jessica, when she was a young teenager. She was lying in her bedroom, on her bed, in complete darkness, which is now her grandpa's room, and suddenly, she looked over and saw a candle flame, except there was no candle. While lying there freaked out, she saw it glide across the wall. At the time, her father, our grandpa, was out of town and only her and our grandma were home. She's now 24 and still has some strange experiences sometimes. Many of our relatives have also had strange experiences in that house. Our grandpa, our mom, our aunts, and our uncles have seen ghosts and have had weird stuff happen to them while living there. It's a family of 8 kids and 2 adults, and many have had paranormal things happen, and the next generation is starting to have things happen too. Me, Nikki, being 15, and my sister Gretchen being 12, and our other sister Alice being 10, are all fond of ghosts and happenings. To this day, we don't know what these things mean, but we hope to get a sign someday. This is a story of 3 friends I know quite well, all female, who decided to rent a home in New Orleans during December 1991. Having decided to share a home in an effort to provide more affordable rent, the girls rented a 3-bedroom home that I would estimate to be about 40 years old. Charlotte was one to locate the house and soon convinced others that home in particular would best suit their needs as the rent was very affordable and each girl would receive their own room. Charlotte decided to rent the home despite the fact that a neighbor told her the house was haunted as she was looking over the property. Not believing in ghosts, nor taking him seriously, she disregarded his claim and proceeded to look over the property. One of the bedrooms was a master bedroom and had its own bath, so Mary volunteered to pay a little extra each month in return for that room. The first sign that things were not so right with the home began with certain items from each of their homes would turn up missing. They would ask each other if it were borrowed, but each time, they would all deny ever borrowing things from each other. To further confuse them, these items would suddenly start showing up in different locations throughout the house, under the beds, on the closet floors, on top of the refrigerator, etc. This continued to happen periodically. One evening, Mary was home alone, watching television, lying across the sofa. To the side of the television was a decorative oak grain door. As she was watching the TV, she suddenly noticed something appearing on the back of the door. It was an image, about 3 by 3, of the Virgin Mary. Totally baffled and astonished at what she was seeing, the image suddenly changed to a huge skull with blood on it. Mary panicked, fled the house, and remained by her mother's until the other 2 girls arrived home later that night. After all attempts to derive a logical and rational explanation for what Charlotte might have seen, they decided to forget about it. It was not long after when they started to hear unusual noises coming from empty rooms of the house. Upon searching for the source, they could never find anything. The noises seemed to originate from Mary's master bedroom. One evening, as Mary and Victoria, the 3rd girl, was watching television, they heard very loud noises coming from Mary's room, as if furniture were being dragged and tossed around. Knowing that Mary was not alone, they became frightened and did not know if an intruder was in the house or if the strange noises were returning. Together, they walked towards Mary's closed door, and the noises suddenly stopped. They slowly opened the door, turned on the light, and saw that Mary's bed was on the other side of the room. Again, Charlotte fled the house, taking Victoria with her. They returned later with Mary and explained what transpired. Mary, still in disbelief and unable to once again derive a logical conclusion, stayed the night in her bedroom. The next night, however, turned out to be not so nice for Mary. As she was home alone this time, she began hearing the sounds of furniture being dragged around in her room. As she went to investigate, she saw the same that happened the night before. Standing there in total fear, she began hearing noises in the bathroom. As she turned to look, She saw the shower curtain moving rapidly back and forth, as if someone was standing there doing it. Mary panicked and fled the house, never to return. For whatever reason, the other girls decided they would attempt to remain in the house a little longer. They had friends over one night, and one of the friends, a guy named Carl, drove up, and as he was walking to the house, saw something strange. He clearly saw a shadow or something he was not able to define, lurking in front of the house. He went into the house, told others what he saw, and departed. After that time, he refused to go near the house and would wait on the corner when picking up the girls. The usual things continued happening: strange noises, missing objects, and soon, footsteps. Charlotte and Victoria were on the sofa one evening when they both felt a pair of hands pressed down on their legs as they were about to get up to investigate noises. It had them for several seconds before letting go. I'm still not sure to this day why they did not leave the house as Mary did, but that was soon to change. One evening, the girls heard footsteps walking down the hallway. They both became frightened, and together, they walked towards the hallway. What they saw still frightens them to this day, and Victoria gets goosebumps just talking about it. Walking towards them in the hallway was a huge dark shadow, almost as high as the ceiling, with its arms stretched out towards them. They could clearly see a long cape on it, and was wearing a short, stovepipe hat. The girls panicked in fear, ran out the front door without closing it, and did not return that night. The next day, they returned with lots of help and company and moved their things out. Charlotte decided to do her own investigation and looked up records at City Hall. The home had been a rental home for the past several years, and no one stayed in the house for very long. Charlotte checked with several of the neighbors and discovered that the neighbor who first warned her was correct. The house was haunted, and the neighbor across the street said lightning struck the home at least 3 times that he remembered. She also discovered that previous occupants of the house were Satan worshippers and said she remembered seeing red wax on the carpet when they moved in. Worshipping was a problem in part of town for a short period of time during the late 80s. That home is a short distance from my house, within walking distance, and the last time I passed there, I saw it was obvious the home was still unable to be rented very easily. There was a sign in the front lawn saying, "I, John Doe, am an ex-con who was convicted for child molestation." Louisiana state law requires that notice. I don't pass there anymore, as the house is pretty creepy looking, especially at night. A few years after our experiences at the house on 10th Street, I joined the U.S. Army. After a 3-year tour in Japan, we went to Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indiana, so I can attend my advanced course. Since it was a 6-month course, I was able to take my family. We found a nice first-floor apartment with 3 bedrooms and a patio off of the living room. We were thrilled because we had our cat with us, and he was an illegal resident, no pets allowed. I've read other stories on this site, and many mention the uncanny ability of pets to sense spirits. Our cat must have been stone deaf to the other world. That, or whatever showed up later, did so 2 months after the cat was discovered and deported back home to my parents in New Mexico. Anyway, 3 months into our residence, I noticed that I had started to feel uncomfortable if any of the bedroom doors were closed. My husband and I shared the master suite. Our son had the room next to ours, and the third was used as the family room and housed the TV, stereo, etc. Very early one morning, I awoke because the bed was shaking. I slept on my stomach with face turned to the side of the bed, with one arm up by my face besides the pillow and the other arm down. I woke up not so much because the bed was shaking, but because the movement was forcing my face into the pillow and I couldn't breathe. Because of the 3 years in Japan, I thought it was an earthquake. I tried to move, and to tell my husband to wake up, we had to wake up our son and get out of the apartment. I found I couldn't talk. Then I found that I couldn't move my arm. My wrist was being pushed into the mattress, as was my face. I could move my feet, my body from the waist down, but from the waist up, I was being pushed down into the mattress. I turned my left eye upward and saw two glowing red eyes, for want of a better word, up above by the side of the bed. I don't know if there was anything else to see. I was terrified. I couldn't move. I couldn't call for help because my mouth was mostly shoved into the pillow and I thought I was going to die. Then it just stopped. This incident never happened again. But 16 years later, I still sleep with my hand tucked under the pillow, not lying beside it. I've known my best friend Sonia for 12 years now. We grew up together, and I've known her family to be as my own. We are pretty close and have lots of fun together. Over the years, I've heard so many stories about her house being haunted by the previous owner. They've named him Leroy. I think he likes it because he doesn't give them that much trouble, or maybe I am wrong. Before Sonia's family bought the house, it was vacant for 2 years. No one wanted to buy it because they knew the man that owned it had killed himself in that very house. When they moved in and had lived there for a few years, strange things started to happen. Things in rooms would be moved around, and objects would be hidden from the family members. One of the major problems was that Sonia's dad was diabetic, so he had to take insulin for his blood sugar. He always kept the meds in the fridge, but one time, Leroy had the meds. Everyone looked everywhere for them, but couldn't find them. After a while, Bob, Sonia's dad, said, "Leroy, give me back my meds." A few minutes later, the meds were back on the fridge. Sonia told me one time her friend Amber had brought over her remote control car for them to play with. They had played all day, and finally, the batteries had died. That night, both of them were lying down on Sonia's bed, watching TV. Sonia noticed the car and the floor start to move back and forth, ramming into the TV. Sonia told Amber to stop moving the car, but Amber said she wasn't doing it. She pointed to the remote and said it's on top of the TV. She also pointed out later that evening that the batteries had died. Both of them were scared, and later, they found out that Sonia's uncle had died that night. A few years later, there was a big family party that was taking place at their house. I was invited, just as others were too. We were all sitting in the family room, watching TV, when Debbie, a friend of the family, had gotten up to go to the restroom. She began to walk down the hallway when she moved to the side to let what seemed to be Bob walking down the hall pass her. Debbie greeted him, but he didn't say anything. She returned to the family room where everyone was at and asked why Bob didn't say hello when she let him walk by and greeted him. Everyone was at a loss for words because Bob had been sitting there the whole time. He said, "Debbie, I believe you just met our ghost Leroy." She got scared after that. 3 months later, after the incident with Debbie, Sonia's family and I were sitting down watching sightings. A lady was talking about how a ghost would throw dishes out of her cabinets and things would break. Sonia had just happened to say how lucky they were that Leroy didn't do anything strange like that. After about 2 hours later, all the dishes came flying out of the cabinets and we freaked. Lucky for us, nothing broke. Over the summer of 1999, I'd spent the night at Sonia's house. We were sitting down, watching TV, when a commercial came on. I got up and began to walk down the hallway towards the bathroom. As I walked past the kitchen and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a woman standing right next to the fridge. I stopped and took another good look, but she was gone. I knew it was Sonia's sister that was the woman because she had died not too long ago and had been seen at the house once already before. I was so scared that I ran back to the family room, jumped on the couch, and said I wasn't going to the bathroom. I told everyone what had happened, and only Bob believed me because he had seen her earlier that day. 2 weeks ago, I was at Sonia's house, sitting on their couch. The TV was right in front of me, and the hallway was right to the right of me. Sonia was in her room, talking to her boyfriend on the phone. I noticed out of the corner of my eye, someone walking down the hallway towards me. As I turned my head and said, "Oh, hi, Sonia." At the same time, When my head was looking right down the hall, no one was there. Sonia came out of her room and asked whom I was talking to. I told her that I thought I just saw her walking out of the room. These are a few true stories that have happened at my best friend's house. I've no say in what you want to believe, but I thought it would be nice to share them with you. I read that you said ghosts will contact you in a dream. I've had so many weird dreams come true that I don't want to believe anymore. Maybe I have a gift, or maybe it's a ghost helping me. Please read this and tell me what you think. I have this problem, but my mother calls it a gift. I don't understand it at all. When I was 16, I first started to notice strange things. I had a dream about me going babysitting one morning. In my dream, I went to go babysit for a friend of the family that just lived right down the street. I got there and went back to the back of the house where I found Dean, the dad, draining the swimming pool. I asked him why he was doing that, and he told me because Carly, the daughter, was having a pool party for her birthday and the left side of the pool was cracked. He needed to fix it. I walked into Carly's room to see what she was doing. She was excited about the party and told me it was her birthday. Well, I woke up and got ready to go babysit. I got to the house, found myself in the backyard with Dean in the pool, with me, asking me the same question and getting the same answer. I just thought this was kind of funny. Well, the next dream I had was a year later. My best friend Sonia and I were not talking for the summer because her boyfriend didn't like me much. On a Sunday morning, I was sleeping and had a dream where I was with Sonia and we were driving to go see someone, but I didn't know who it was. She took me down these stairs and there was her whole family. Everyone was happy to see me and gave me hugs. I asked Sonia why we were in the jail area, but I couldn't hear her. She said someone's name, but I couldn't hear. She was totally mute. I woke up and was really worried and told my mom about it. She told me it was just a dream and to call Sonia. I called Sonia, but no one was home, so I left a message. That following week, I had another dream. It was Monday. This time, I was outside with Sonia. Everyone was dressed in black, and they were all sad, and some crying. I looked at everyone and started to feel really sad. I asked Sonia once again why we were there and who died, but she talked and was mute. I looked at the grave and the casket with flowers all over it. I couldn't think because I felt so bad. I woke up really worried and called Sonia again. No one was home, so I left a message. A month passed, and I finally got a phone call from her. She wanted to know if I could babysit for her aunt, but I said no. I told her that I've been really worried about her lately, and I needed to tell her something important, so I told her all about my dreams. She was silent for a few minutes, and I asked her if she was okay. She asked me when I had these dreams, and I told her the days, but that I didn't remember the date. She was very upset. She told me on a Sunday of last month, her brother was put in jail for drugs. Then on a Wednesday, he was let out for good behavior. He threw a party for being let out, and overdosed on drugs, and died. His funeral was on Monday. I was scared. I didn't understand any of it. I told my mom, and she just said it was nothing to worry about, that I just missed her so much that it brought me to know things that were happening to her. I still didn't understand. That's not it either. I had a dream my brother's car would get broken into, and guys would take things. I told him to lock his doors because he never did. Come to find out, someone tried to get into his car, but couldn't. What's even more scary for me is now that they are not dreams anymore. I just know things before they happen. The other day, I knew my mom was going to get pulled over by a cop, but I didn't tell her because I didn't want to think anything of it. She called me after I got out of school and told me she was pulled over by a cop. I knew my parents were going to get a divorce a year before it even happened. Just little things I know, and I don't understand. I even had this one dream about this guy my mom was dating. She actually in real life at the time wasn't dating him, but in my dream she was. I went out to dinner with both of them, and he hated me because I had a gift, and he knew it. He knew that I could see things before they happened, and I even dreamed about them also. He tried to turn my family against me, and then tried to kill me. I really didn't think anything of it. I remember coming home that night and my mom greeted me at the door, telling me she had a date over. I want to introduce myself, and I just about dropped on the floor. It was the same man I had dreamed about earlier that morning. I waited until he left, and then I told my mom everything. She told me she wasn't interested anyways. I don't understand any of this, and sometimes it scares me a lot. Can you please give me any information at all? My mom tells me that she believes I may have an angel telling me these things. She also believes it might be her great aunt because she used to talk to dead family members. My mom told me that when she was little, her aunt used to tell her that she might hear her talking, but not to worry about it because she was just talking to family members. Sometimes, my great-great-grandmother would visit her and tell her when something was going to happen to a family member and who was going to die next. I thought it was really weird, but my mom told me she believed it because she would feel cold around the time her aunt would start talking to these ghosts. Thanks for reading. Oh no, you didn't. You didn't just close this video without actually saying anything in the comment section below. What are you doing? There's dogs barking in the background right now. How can you just leave when there's chaos in the background going on? Dogs barking and everything. You can at least like and comment and share this video. That's the least that you can do. Come on, come on. I have faith in you. I believe in you. You can do it. Just like Shia LaBeouf. You can do it. Don't let your dreams become dreams. Let it become reality or whatever the hell he said. He can also rap. That's what I heard. Okay, I'll calm down. I don't have to yell at you. Just please watch the video. Just please comment. Oh wait, you reached the end of this video, so you already watched it. What am I saying? I'm so worried. I don't want to lose you. Just please comment, like, and subscribe. Do it now. Do it for me. I don't know what I'm saying, guys. Okay, woo! I've got a headache right now, and hopefully you guys enjoyed these stories, but before I sound like a complete maniac and before I rile you up anymore, I'm gonna sign out now because, that was just a hell of a lot that you didn't really need to hear. So, hey, okay, good night, good morning. Dogs are saying bye to us, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys as always. Comment below, because I really want to hear from you. Haha, yeah.